Hello, and welcome to another episode of Better at Science with Shinrai Sensei, or Better Together at Science, I should say. And today we're going to be talking about the comparison of terms combustion and ignition. Combustion and ignition are often confused because we typically will say combustion, like internal combustion engine, is kind of correct, but at the same time, the image that combustion evokes is usually incorrect. Where we think combustion, we think of, big fireballs and stuff like that. A lot of people, when they hear the word combustion, because of things like the internal combustion engine, we think of like something that has an explosive, fiery reaction, right? And not always is there going to be fire when there's a combustion reaction. Combustion is simply a reaction that combines oxygen, right? So, really, if you hear the word combustion, you should kind of hear combine oxygen because you're adding oxygen to in a chemical reaction to whatever substance or compound. Sorry, whatever substance or compound you already have, you are combining oxygen into it to create a combustion reaction. So, combustion reactions add oxygen. Add oxygen, right? Whereas ignition is fire, right? So to ignite something is to light something on fire, right? And while combustion can ignite things, not every ignition is a result of combustion, and not every combustion results in ignition, right? So these are two words that are completely separate but have a small overlap, right? And so that small overlap is what most people's mind says about combustion and ignition being the same thing, right? We know, most people anyway, know that not everything that burns or not everything that you can light on fire is made of oxygen, right? There are plenty of substances out there that we know catch fire that are not made of oxygen or don't have oxygen in their chemical composition, right? And also, technically speaking, not every combustion reaction will lead to fire. That's combustion reactions just lead to energy being released. That doesn't necessarily mean fire is going to be released every time. Fire is just one very particular form that energy release takes. And so, like I said, combustion and ignition have their own broad scopes that they are represented by. So, like, the green circle will be combustion, and the blue circle will be ignition, right? So, combustion and ignition. And this little area between right here, where I have the red X, is a lot of people's misconceptions about combustion always leading to ignition. And people also will not think in an error that ignition is always a combustion reaction. So, while yes, fire is often associated with oxygen because it usually requires oxygen, it doesn't always require oxygen. Some things light on fire, or some things create fire that don't necessarily directly need oxygen, right? Look at, while yes, there is oxygen in hydrogen, dihydrogen oxide, which is water, that doesn't necessarily mean the combustion of the air as it's leaving the reaction is what most people will think the flame is the combustion, right? But it's actually the violent reaction of the sodium with the water as it violently rips apart the water molecules with the sodium. That is the leading to the combustion reaction, leading to the ignition, which is a type of combustion reaction. And like I said, that little sliver between these two is where a lot of people get confused. Okay? So, combustion is not always ignition, and ignition is not always combustion. Pretty simple premise. I know I probably beat on a drum for a little too long on this one, but it's a very common misunderstanding and misnomer for people to think that combustion and ignition are the same thing. So I really wanted to make sure that everybody was clear and that got cleared up, okay? If you guys have any questions about anything, please leave it in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.